Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the FAF CAST Division channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at a game as it happens right now. I've already found one. This game is taking place live here on the FAF CAST Division channel. Well, the players have already started, so I've had to pause, so it's live minus like a minute or so. Of course, there's already a 5-minute delay to prevent cheating. And so with that little intro said and done, ba-da-da-dum-bum. Let's go ahead, jump on over, introduce our players. And we'll have to go and unpause. Here we go then. This a live 1 versus 1 lad. Actually very high rated. Look at that. 1712 versus 1931. And so starting over on the left hand side, it's Storm Lantern, Cybran in blue. 1931 rated, so this guy basically a pro, and these are ladder ratings, and so yeah, this is a pro ladder rating. 1931. Over to his east end on the far right side of the map in red, it's Tom at 1712 rated, also going Cybran, and so about 215 or so points separating these two players. And again, I don't want to put an exact number on it, I know I say this every time, but it's something like, I'm sort of saying 5 or 4 times out of 5, maybe, we would expect the guy with 200 or 220 rating points or so ahead to win. That 5th game, we'd expect it to go the other way. It is otherwise a mirror matchup. We'll have to see how it unfolds. But again, 1712, I mean, you got to realize 1712 is really high rating. I don't know exactly. I'm guessing it's in the top 10%. It could even be higher than that. And again, I think the most players are going to find themselves around 1,000, maybe 11, and even many regulars don't get past like 1,300. And so yeah, you know, there's a top tier sort of game here. And so with that, trying to put both of these guys up on a pedestal. Let's see if they live up to it then. And so Thomas looks like he's sending a scout out either way. So if we take a look what he can see from his point of view, there we go. And again, for those unfamiliar with the game, everything in the shadow is just he gets to see the map and that's it, whether there's anything there or not. And everything that's highlighted, so this little circle, is like a field of vision. And so here, for example, the scout does pick up from Storm Lantern that there is a hunter there, a lab. Luckily, evades getting killed. The scout doesn't have anything it can shoot with, at least not the siren ones. And so I think that scout there was lucky to get away with its life. The problem is, it's going to run out into something else. Now there we see as well one of the advantages of the scout, aside from its range ring there. If I hover over, we see it's got a further blue line. That's like a radar range. And so that's how Tomo was able to know there was something there before he saw it. He didn't necessarily know what it was, just that there was something there. And if two things start chasing after your scout, you can kind of surmise that, well, at least one of those two things is going to have a gun on it. Otherwise, why would you give chase? The initial lab here that run by onto Thomas' side of the map from Storm Lantern looks like it's moving here, looking for an engineer. Thomas wise to it, trying to move in, and he's already given it an attack command, and so that's why the Mantis here knows where to go. The problem is it going to get there in time? We've got an attack move here from Storm Lantern, and it's going to be close. And what am I talking about? Close. Gets it. Plenty to spare. Storm Lantern there. Wise to the fact he was being chased. Gets the kill. 100%, but is now getting chased down by 2 Mantis. And gets away. Hero there. And he's coming round the other side. And do you know what? If he gets that, and I have to eat my own shoe. Mantis with 2 kills here from Tomat. Is he going to get a third? Well, probably not. And I don't believe it. Storm Lantern showing why or where those extra 200 rating points go. And he's going to kill the engineer. Now, not before the engineer did manage to cap all 4 mechs, which, of course, hugely important for Thomas' economy. But don't forget, this hunter had 2 mantis after it and has managed to evade detection and then pick up another kill. Meanwhile, on the flip side then, looks like Thomas is about to pull off something to the equivalent. Storm Lantern desperate to try and finish this factory, and here... bit of a mistake here from Thomas. Is firing into the factory. Storm is hiding behind the factory with his engineer trying to finish construction. And I don't believe it. Unless Thomas is he's got it. He's got the factory. Very, very well played there. And that's what I'm talking about. Factories used to absorb hit points. And there we see a perfect example. Engineer versus Mantis. Engineer hides behind the very factory that it's building and is able to build faster than the Mantis can destroy it. And with that, the factory gets completed. Allows Storm Lantern a little bit of time to move a couple of Mantis in. Now, Thomas here with a couple of Mantis in the back of Storm Lantern's base, but rather than continuing to attack, looks like he's moving elsewhere. And it looks like the Mantis is returning here. Oh, it's going to get reclaimed if he's not careful. Does manage to pick off a solitary engineer. Not sure that was worth it. Does bring this one Mantis back that was initially moving away. Picks off. Minor raid in there. Very well played to Thomas. Looks like Storm Lantern's been doing the equivalent over on the mirror flip. Although Storm Lantern with significantly more numbers. That said, Thomas as well with a little raiding force here. Picks off the engineers. Picks off 2 mechs. Does it get away with 6 hit points out of 270? Now those 6 are all you need to come back another day and cause bother. But it looks like Storm Lantern's already locked on and indeed has. Picks off the Mantis. Mantis there, 3 kills for Thomas, and looks like he's moving into the backfield. And looks like Storm Lantern was not able to get an attack order in. Does try and move units to shut it down, but if he's lucky, we'll be able to pick off that engineer. Doesn't look like he was paying attention, and with that, the engineer's going to live. Thomas with a single file run-by attempt here. Storm Lantern with units in perfect formation able to deal with, and subsequently what was at least initially a weaker force is able to delete a stronger force. Look at this. Storm Lantern, he sees that there's a badly damaged Mantis. He sends 1 Mantis to deal with that's a higher health. That is like just the best play. That's like your high level 1 versus 1 unit. I see your unit's got damage, so I only need to send 1 full health unit and I'll win. And there we see it working. Both players very effective on the run by here, just picking stuff off. Engineer from Thomas survives with 1 hit point. And I don't believe it. Thomas sends a Mantis in to go and heal it. And heal it, it does. Mantis too. Looks like those Mantis are going to be on guard duty. And indeed they are. So they're going to guard the engineer. And every time the engineer stops moving, they're going to move in with their microscopic abilities to assist. But assist nonetheless. And we see that engineer's already up to 12 hit points. Thomas once again with a single file run by down on the south side, but with many of Storm Lantern's units out of position. Oh, that was going so well, and then he pulls back, although Storm Lantern now going to run headlong into Thomas' ACU. That is going to go Thomas' way. And Storm Lantern once again shuts down a potential attack and pushes him back. And incidentally, Storm Lantern does have the 4 mass points in the middle, which is arguably no man's land, and here's where you think Toma, you know, if he had one APM more, he would send a tank here, perhaps send another one here or here, and there it is. His APM was granted to him through the passage of time. Again, though, this is live, isn't it? Well, it's almost live. It's live minus the anti-cheat delay, so it's as near as live as we can get it. 5 minutes behind the times. Storm Lantern now, minute 9 and 53 seconds. Starts an upgrade on the gun. Toma with a drop up here. What have we got? Mantis, Mantis, and a Maul. So 4 Mantis and a Maul. We'll use them then, because Storm Lantern is going to be responding to this either with a bomber or with units. And it's quite a big investment to just deal with one mass point. Takes out a Mantis, but yeah, Storm's going to get enough units together to wipe that out. I don't think Toma's going to get much more done unless he splits the forces and gets creative. And now with a bomber and all, well, there's your answer. And it looks like at minute 10, Storm Lantern looks poised to push through left, right and centre, or top, middle and bottom. Depends on which perspective, right? And is moving in on both flanks, top and bottom. And with his, what would it be? Well, I don't know, top and middle maybe in his lower force. Looks like he's being used as reserves. And now with Toma, Tech 2, with 3 Rhinos on the front line, that was enough to make Storm Lantern think twice about pushing through, who is just a few seconds away from getting the gun. Toma, anything ongoing on the ACU? Well, no. Storm Lantern now with the gun, finishes on the 11th minute. And this is going to be huge problems for Toma, because yeah, he's got a handful of Tech 2 units, but if your opposing ACU's got gun and can overcharge, that's going to evaporate right quick. Looks like Storm Lantern, if we can have access to the shift, is moving all units into the front line. Looks like Storm Lantern is preparing for and getting ready to initialize the steamrollage procedures. Toma decides to upgrade his ACU now as we're approaching minute 12. And I'm not sure if that's going to be too little too late. Looks like he's thinking twice and even thrice about it. Moving in, what's he doing? Maybe just hoping to pick off some isolated guys like this one, but nah, thanks, no. And once again, Storm Lantern recapping the mid, and now is going for a stealth upgrade on the commander. Stealth is much cheaper than the gun. And Storm Lantern with Tech 1 bomber strikes now. We're seeing him just full spectrum dominance here. And Toma got virtually nothing left to defend up here with. He's going to have to produce something and quick. Air Force moving in, although the gate's already been open far too long. The horse has bolted. Toma's ACU with the gun finally completes, but was out of position. Loses a lot of units unnecessarily there on the initial engage. Does finally shut the bomber attack down, but leaves himself very undefended in terms of units. A single Tech 1 point defense, so it's going to need more than that to stop this lot coming through. As Storm Lantern now with Tech 2 arriving on the front line as well. Rhinos of his own. And those Rhinos are going to chew through the Mantis. The Mantis scum! I hated those things when I was UEF. The worst thing. And here we go now. Finally a bit of action. ACU on ACU. Storm Lantern, of course, about to get stealth. Boom. There it goes. Leads the charge with Rhinos. Does Toma have the eco to fund OCs? Well, he has got storage, but he could do with a bit more energy to more rapidly fund those overcharges. Potentially another energy storage to increase the power. And I like that Stormlantern, you know, he recognises he's in a stronger position, but he's not just balls to the wall going in at the risk of then losing everything. Seen players do that. They think they're getting the upper hand, they throw everything in, convinced they're going to win. It don't work out. The other guy's got all the reclaim. 5 minutes later, it all goes wrong. But it looks for now... I don't know, it just feels like right precarious up there. Yes, Toma does have staggered defences back here. This is like the elastic defence that the Germans were practicing in World War II. It looks like he's got a very, very similar thing going on with these staggered point defence. And clearly it was a very effective, right? They were outnumbered by colossal numbers, and yet somehow managed, you know, a very gradual retreat in defence, if you kind of call Stalingrad the start of when it went wrong, until sort of May 1945. The ability to hang on that long with so little, no air, no nothing. And yeah, no small part down to the elastic defense, which is basically letting your opponent come through the front lines, but having very small pockets of high damage output like this. The point defense staggered at very, not just everything on the front line, and then once that caves, that's it. But Stormlantern now, Loyalists on the Tech 3 stage, does run into a Loyalist belonging to Toma, but Toma's going to have to pursue it. Loyalist is going to start walking into this. Let's just call it what it is, the elastic defense. But huge numbers of spam now in the middle from Stormlantern. Yes, he is trickled in a little bit of tech, but with that amount of spam, you could overwhelm your opponent, providing you don't just let your opponent pick it off from range. We'll have to see. We shift G's all of that. And Toma's got a sizable force of his own. The Rhinos are very high rate of fire. Toma getting some beautiful overcharges in, and there we see the shift G. So look at this, 2 clumps, shift G. How are we doing up top? Well, run by is continuing. Toma does have the numbers to plug the gap here, but they're out of position. Some nicely placed Tech 2-point defense here from Toma is going to help deal with a lot of the spam. And Toma now putting overcharges into the shift G waypoints, which is never a good thing. Certainly if you favour Stormlantern. And Toma here playing really, really well. The way Toma is using his commander, I much prefer versus Stormlantern. Don't forget, Stormlantern's got the stealth as well. But the way Toma is just playing better, I think, certainly with his commander. And now, for first time in a little while, Toma looking like he's pushing through over on the north. Looks like he managed to get a little drop in over here, but he's not going to be able to hold on to that factory. Looks like he attempted to drop and build in the back. Stormlantern wise to it. And numerous mass points here been taken out. Apologies for missing that as well. Although Stormlantern now looking to return the favour, bringing in a Loyalist of his own. Looks like Toma's got enough waiting for it to deal with it. A Loyalist and 3 Rhinos takes out the enemy Loyalist there for just 2 mass extractors. Well, by the time you reclaim the mass and rebuild, and look right on the case, Insta on the rebuild. And Toma here continuing to get fantastic trades. Fantastic trades with the ACU. 73 kills. He's a 3-star vet. There's the 4th. 100% health. And now for first time in a little while, Storm Lantern's starting to look light on units. Yeah, at first glance it looks like he's got a lot there, but most of this is just spam and engineers. And some are brushing that aside, although there is one nicely placed Cerberus turret on the hill. This one, well, I've seen better placement, let's just say that. Now bricks coming in and all from Tomer. And at this point, Storm Lantern's got to start and be feeling like, you know, things were going real well and I had you pinned down to about a third of the map, but Storm Lantern got the ability to overcharge. Surely he does. Well, he does. And there he goes. Loses about a third of his health in that exchange. But these bricks here for Tomer just working really, really well, and he manages to hold on to all of them. Problem is, when you clump them up like that, they're just begging for an airstrike. Some Tech 1 air down here looking to pick up some undefended structures belonging to Tomer. But it's these Corsairs that concern me. Tech 2 radar on the front line belonging to Storm goes down. And Tomer looking really strong, looking like he's moving in on the north. And it looks like Storm Lantern has decided it's now or never and is chucking all his forces in to rendezvous Central Estate. And he's maybe just hoping that he catches enough of Tomer's units out of position. Because with the ACU in these bricks, I'm almost sure Tomer can win this, but providing he can get the shots on target. ACU there from Storm, taking huge amounts of damage. And at this point, playing loose and fast, there's no other alternative. Tomer perhaps realising he's got the upper hand, playing a little too cautious, and that's going to enable Storm Lantern to get a few shots on, whittle some of these Tech 3 units down for free. But Tomer with a run by over on the north side, could we be looking at that 5th game we were talking about earlier? Well, so far it's beginning ever so slightly to lean that way. If I had to call this game now, I am somewhat in favour of Tomer. My only exception is that I'm seeing increasing amounts of Tech 2 air on the field from Storm Lantern. And that not only means the ability to do stuff like this, but potentially Corsair Snipe. Of course, going against a Cybrant, Tech 2 Corsair Snipe. Almost nothing you can do about it. And Storm looks very strong in air as well. And so unless Tomer can get Flax or Sams or walk-in Sams or something in and around his ACU, I mean, we do see here a solitary Flak. It's going to take more than that, I think. And the entire run by over on Storm Lantern's northern side was shut down almost exclusively thanks to his Tech 2 air. And once again, units firing into the ground. And here we see the attack move orders coming in from engineers, all of them desperate to try and get hold of this reclaim here. If we take a quick glance at that, there's about 10,000 massed there. And although on the land I am favouring Tomer, I'm starting to get increasingly concerned about the amount of air that Storm Lantern is wielding down here. And again, I always like to favour the underdog. I'm sorry, I just do. It's part of my anatomy. I can't help it. And Storm Lantern is the stronger player on paper. And why replay over? Sorry, did I just miss something? Storm Lantern's ACU here, Tomer here. Why is the replay over, man? Storm Lantern throwing the towel? Did you see this air and think, shit, I've got an out to deal with, and calls it? Just insta-quit? It's the only thing I can think, because I don't see any ACU going bang. And the live replay is over. Potentially a game crash from one of the players, but I'm not so sure. Unfortunately, you know, these things can happen on a live cast. It was a fantastic game. I'd have loved to have seen this progress. Although I originally said a minute or so ago it's favouring Tom, I think at this point, thanks to the air, it swung back into Storm Lantern's favour. I think Storm Lantern's just going to keep on building more and more air. And then could clearly snipe Thomas ACU at a moment's notice. Alright, so yeah, that's going to do it for the first live game. Until next time, wherever in the world you may be, take care. And please do remember about the channels that have split. You clearly are with the FAF CAST Division channel here. The Games with Brains channel will be phasing out all the Forged Alliance Forever casts. And that's, again, to avoid people getting mixed messages on different games that they're not interested in. Make sure you subscribe to this channel if you want Forged Alliance. They're not going to be appearing on the other channel after about a week or so. So until then, wherever in the world you may be, take care, bye-bye. And yeah, apologies for this game ending early, but again, you know, when it's live, you can't check.